Welcome to Kansas. We are ready to go racing at this beautiful mile-and-a-half speedway that is the best on the schedule, I would say. And we're ready for it. So, got my co-star or co-host Alex up here in the booth with me. Alex, how you
Evening,
doing?
folks. We're doing all right. I think I'm excited for another good day of racing. We've had a couple good races the last couple of weeks, and I mean, to be honest, I don't really know much about this track. I've raced it maybe twice my entire time on iRacing, but I do know that it is a great track. A lot of close to the wall action, supposedly. It looked that way yesterday in Cup, and seems to be that way now. And from what I've seen from all these guys practicing, a lot of by the wall action and hopefully some chaos.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that tonight. It is 77 degrees out here in Kansas, but with it being a day race, these boys are up for a wild one. They are most of this practice have been saying how loose these cars are. Went and talked to the guy leading the points, Nathaniel Landwehr, in that number 99. He made a few comments about how loose this thing was. So even on the top side, he was sideways. So tonight we're looking to see some of those guys with a lot of car control to come out on top with it. So we'll see how that happens and who's able to get it done here at Kansas.
Yeah, it looks to be pretty tricky so far. Throughout practice, I've seen a lot of guys, like I said, run towards the wall, but it seems to get pretty loose, mostly off the exit of four, from what I've seen for a lot of guys. I think car control is going to be key here. There's a couple key guys in the field, I'd say here, who I think are great at that. We've seen it through a couple of races throughout the season that there are a couple of guys who, with good car control, have kept their tires clean and not pushed too hard. It seems to have worked out in their favor.
Yeah, one of the dirt guys in here, Randy Arms, likes the dirt stuff. He looking for him tonight, as slick as this racetrack is, and with it being up on that high side next, well, you could call it the cushion, I guess. He's looking to put down a heater. So we'll see if Randy's able to gain up on the points. Speaking about points, in the bottom right-hand corner, we see it there. Nathaniel leading the points, 3 over Jonathan Swartz. And then we got a little bit of a gap to Randy, Jared, Tiller, Kyle. But on the bubble, only 5 points ahead, Kyle Ritchie is from Casey Brown, Jonathan Mazzella, Landon Quisenberry. There is a battle. So first to put down a lap is Cade Ferguson. He goes top of the board. We'll see if that lap stands. But as we get later in the running and qualifying, we will see where everybody ends up shaking out. Let's ride on board here with Randy as he finishes up. I believe this is his second lap, so maybe not. Nathaniel hasn't ran his lap, so when he goes out, we'll ride on board with him. Randy to complete his lap. Across the stripe. 31.6 puts him top of the board. See if he's able to hold on with it. He's running the bottom, which is a different lane that we've seen from a lot of these guys. On the bottom, Mozella in the 41 goes top of the board. Can that second lap be faster for Randy Arms through 3 and 4? Kyle Ritchie puts her third. Randy is able to do it. Put him P1 on the board. Randy Arms with a 4.51 to complete his lap. Casey Brown goes fourth. A great lap for him. Michael Davis. Very good laps from a lot of different drivers here. As we're completing, Josh Abney goes third on the board. Awesome qualifying so far. We're seeing a lot of jumbling up of the field. Did Nathaniel get in the wall, or why is he not out there?
No, so he actually disconnected from the session not too long ago. He's out on track now. Should have enough time to get all 3 of his laps in. We got about a minute and a half left in qualifying, so we'll see whether or not he can actually get a second lap in, depending on how quick he decides to push on his first or even his out lap. He is out there right now. He might have just had some technical difficulties, but he is out there now. We'll see how far he can put it up. He's been a good qualifier for most of the year. Gonna try to aim for. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna aim for the pole, but I'm sure a top 3 will work out just well for him. Just to get as many points as he can. Obviously, we know he's leading the championship. Been pretty dominant most of the year, along with a couple other guys. But um, safe to say I think a top 3 is going to be good for him here if he can manage third up there.
Well, let's ride on board with him up against that high side, right against the wall. Lap 1 in turn 1 goes to the wall. We'll see what he does in 3 and 4. Does he think a second lap is optional? It looks like he does with him committing to that top line. Really close to the wall though. Little slick, little loose in the center. Almost in the outside wall. We're going to ride on board. Alex, what do you think here going into 1?
Oh, I think he's put in a really good first lap. He should have enough time. I think he just barely made it to the line for him to make a second lap here. He might only be a few seconds off, getting a little bit loose on the top. Kind of surprising to see because we've seen a lot of guys actually run the bottom for qualifying, but assuming that top line has some speed for qualifying.
Well, he goes into the top of 3 and 4, right against that outside wall, right up next to it, as he's going to come across the stripe. Is it going to be enough? Can Nathaniel get yet another pull at the line? Doesn't. Runs a little bit slower, almost dead even, but Randy Arms is going to be your pole sitter. What a lap from Randy.
Yeah, great qualifying lap from him. We saw him do it a little bit differently than everybody else. Ran on the bottom for his laps, so yeah, not super surprising to see. We've seen him also been pretty good in qualifying for most of the year, but at the same time, different strategy seems to be paying off for him so far.
Yeah, not unexpected, but definitely not unexpected for him to be top of the board, but an unexpected line, I guess you could say, as Kansas is known for being the track that you run the top side, put her on the fence, and let it eat. And tonight, we'll see what lane prevails. I mean, there we saw the bottom. That worked just fine. So, I don't know. We will be seeing as the field starts to grid. What are you expecting to see tonight, Alex?
I'm not gonna lie. From qualifying, it seems like you can actually run the bottom a little bit. I mean, judging by Randy's pole lap, there's a little bit of speed down there. So, I think we're gonna see a track today that you can run anywhere. I mean, we saw it last week. We had Texas last week, right? Yeah, Texas last week. That just a track mostly that you would stick to the bottom, but we saw some people run the top and it worked out pretty well. So I think we'll have another thing like that this week here at Kansas, where you can kind of run anywhere and people can show off their speed and hopefully keep themselves clean throughout the race.
Little interruption there from Randy, just letting us know that he's here. But as we start to roll off, let's do a rundown of the field here.
All right, we're going to start off with your pole sitter, Randy Arms, league owner with a 31.451. Solid qualifying lap from him. Taking the outside pole, the 41 of Jonathan Mazzella. Needs to have himself a good night tonight, sitting 8th in points, close to that cutoff line. Nathaniel Landwell, your points leader, taking a P3 so far for qualifying. Jared Lindsay, another guy who needs to have a great night tonight to keep himself up in the top 6. He's got a little bit of a cushion, but maybe not as much as he would want. Schwartz down in P5 in the 58. Josh Abney, surprising to see him towards the top 5 in qualifying. Not a bad lap from him. Matt Frady, another guy who I think we should look out for tonight if he can try to have himself some speed. Kyle Ritchie in the 8. Casey Brown, 9th. Jake Goro, sorry if I butchered his last name, rounding out the top 10. Michael Davis, 11th. Michael Cochrane, 12th. Matthew Helm, 13th. Kate Ferguson, 14th. Lenny Quisenberry, rounding out your top 15. Mikey Adams, fan favorite, 16th. Sam Demian, 17th. Austin Wingard, 18th. Jesse Brooks, 19th. And Kevin Ritchie not qualifying, down to 20th.
And as the field gets ready to go green here at Kansas for the elimination race of round 1, the field is green and we're racing at Kansas. As we're 3 wide for, it looks like 4th there for a moment. 6, we were 3 wide. And early lead for Randy Arms down the back straightaway.
Yeah, not a great start for the outside pole man of the Mazzella. Seemed to go to the top right off the rip and didn't seem to work out well for him as everybody's looking to lean towards the bottom right now as Mazzella actually, I think, almost makes contact with the outside wall there. Not having himself a great start. Randy having himself a solid lead so far at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, everybody running that bottom lane so far. The only guy on the outside line is Jonathan Mazzella in that 41, looking to the outside of Kyle Ritchie and trying to make that outside line work. The guy on his inside is one of the best at running that high side right against that wall. But we're seeing Jonathan way sideways as he's up there on that high side. So could be a tire saving strategy from everybody up front as we're riding on board with Josh Abney right behind him.
Yeah, kind of surprising to see it so far. Like I said before, I thought we were gonna maybe see a track where we can kind of go everywhere, no matter what line. But it seems to be that top just hasn't quite settled in enough just yet. We'll see maybe towards the later stages of the race. If you see, you got another taker of Jonathan Schwartz up running towards the wall.
Yeah, Schwartz up on that high side, looking to put himself into a position to get to everybody else's right rear. But at the moment, all the pressure is on Schwartz to make a just doesn't have to have a great race, but just these kind of front runners just got to have an okay day. They don't have to win it. They don't have to be aggressive. Just can't make the mistake and wipe yourself out. But pressure is on Nathaniel, dropping back just a little bit, going to lose the spot maybe to Jared Lindsay as he comes up the racetrack. He does, as second, third, and fourth were the three from last week's crazy 3-wide backwards finish that we had at Texas Motor Speedway, which we did not expect from Texas. But these three are lurking and waiting for their opportunity to go after Randy Arms.
Yeah, right now your top four just kind of sitting around close to each other. Doesn't seem to be getting too aggressive so far. A couple moves being made, but nothing crazy so far as they're trying to eye Randy, hoping he makes a mistake. Right now, seemingly Jared Lindsay's starting to get a little bit of a run on him. Maybe he'll try to challenge here as we saw him last week make that bottom work out very well. We'll see if this week, if he can actually change the narrative and run towards the bottom. Obviously, seeing it seems to be the line to run right now, but we'll see if he can try to make any line work today as he's going to go around the outside of Randy Arms, take the lead.
Yeah, going to, well, that's not what we wanted. Going to the lead. Around the outside of Randy Arms, just able to drive right around him. But Randy's going to fight it back on the outside line. Still going to have him to his outside, though. Going to dive into the corner, kind of run that middle lane, not really on the bottom. Miss it by just a little bit. But Jared Lindsay's going to go to the lead down the back straightaway. And Jared Lindsay to the point on lap number 7.
Yeah, like I said, kind of surprising to see him go up top so quickly. I could tell so far just by watching his onboards that wheel's getting turned quite a bit. Could be scrubbing off a lot of tire, and we'll see whether or not that'll actually affect him later on in the race. We know Randy usually has been pretty good with tire saving, so seeing him run the bottom isn't too surprising if that is the tire saving line. But we'll see how it goes on throughout the race and whether or not the top line will affect your tires way more.
Yeah, and we're seeing it kind of slowly throughout the field. Really, everybody's running that bottom lane, and that's kind of something that I've learned as a few races that I have run the last few years here at Kansas. And the Cup car, the Xfinity cars, Josh Abney's way sideways on the bottom there. Had to gather it up. But the bottom does seem to save tires if you're able to run it just nice and smooth, not overheat them. It does seem like the bottom saves tire just because it doesn't have the load that the top does. And you're able to just kind of nice and smooth around the bottom. Don't have to, the higher the speed, the higher the load in that tire and the more wear that's going to be. So as they run the top line, it may be a little bit quicker, but it can also burn off the tires. And we're seeing Mazzella, he's not thinking about the later parts of this race. He's up on the top side trying to make it happen.
Yeah, he's dropped himself a couple of places so far since the start. Not having a great opening stints of this race, but we'll see whether or not he can catch up through the rest of the field. We see him still running towards the wall, like you mentioned before, Cabe. Whether or not it will actually help him out in the latter stages of this race is to come.
Yeah, let's ride on board with Nathaniel. Take us through a lap here. What is he thinking from your experience in driving and racing, Alex? What is he thinking in this third spot? Knows you still got a little bit to the stage, but riding behind Randy and Jared.
Yeah, I think right now, it's just going to be, as I was just about to say, it might be in a saving mentality right now as he dives it into turn 1. He's got a pretty decent gap to Jonathan Schwartz behind him right now, almost a second on him. So he could just be thinking, just to keep himself, get as much of a gap as he can behind, but also try to stay with the leaders and not burn off too much. He's in a great spot right now, actually. He's going to still retain the points lead, at least with so far on the stage, and just just in a saving mode right now, I think. I don't think he's doing anything too crazy, nothing to jeopardize his race. Like you mentioned before, a lot of these guys just need to have a clean night. No big mistakes, no rough housing with a lot of other drivers. But safe to say you think he's just playing it safe for now.
Yeah, and the top three right now is Chevy, Ford, Toyota. So we got all three manufacturers represented at the moment at the front. But right now, as Jared kind of misses the bottom, kind of runs that middle lane, didn't really commit to either, and that allowed Randy to pull up to his back bumper. Now with an opportunity, does he be aggressive and try to take the lead back? Try to get an extra stage point or not? Back to the bottom. Here he comes, Randy Arms. For the dirt guy, and I said might be like in that top line. We've seen it a lot this season where he runs the bottom and is able just to kind of lurk and slowly gain time. And we're seeing it once again tonight. Jared through the middle again. That's going to open up the door for Randy, but he's a little loose on the bottom. Slice across the back bumper. Yeah, Randy still looking on the bottom. There's just nowhere for Nathaniel to go. We know how important clean air is, and he's just in dirty air no matter where they run in front of him. So he's having to just kind of sit still right now as the guy behind him is slipping and sliding, but gaining fast. The last lap for Swartz was a 5.2. 5.2 again. That last lap was a 6.4. In front of him, 6.1, 6.9, 8.1. So 0.2 to 0.3 of a second quicker that last time by for Swartz.
Yeah, we could see this top three right now. They're starting to get a little bit more racy, starting to poke their nose a little bit and see if they can try to make any moves. We saw Jared Lindsay start to run
Swartz
the
on
middle
the
a little
wall.
bit as he looked to. Oh yeah, Schwartz is gonna hit the wall there. Oh yeah, Jared Lindsay's also getting loose off the exit of 4 here. Considering the stage is at lap 50 and we're only on lap 16, I'm not sure how racy these guys are going to want to be. I'm sure the tires are going to be absolutely murdered by the end of this stint for a lot of these guys here. We can see Jared Lindsay, he's getting way loose off the exit of 2. I think these tires are starting to show a little bit of pain here. Definitely not going to be able to make it to the end of the stage with how a lot of these guys are driving, at least towards the front of the field. They do have 5 total sets of tires right now, so they got a couple other sets to burn if they want, but still a long way to go. We'll see what a lot of these guys want to do with tire strategy coming to the stage at lap 50.
Ooh, almost contact there as we saw Nathaniel drive to the inside as Randy's right on his door. Had an opportunity to try to take over the second spot, had it for a second, and had a nose on him. We'll see what Randy does. He's going to get all the way on his door, try to loosen him up. If he can, he's going to try to suck him around. But taking the air off of Nathaniel, he's going to try to side draft him back. Now we got a race here. These boys are getting after it. And Kansas, proven to be one of the best on the schedule.
Yeah, these guys are getting really racy. Now, even despite the fact that they're going at it pretty hard right now, Lindsay has not pulled away as much as I thought he would, as Nathaniel Landwehr's going to slide up in front of Randy Arms off the exit of 2 to take that second spot. Yeah, just I'm surprised to see that Lindsay hasn't pulled away more, as he's going to barely miss the wall there into 4, and Nathaniel Landwehr's going to have a good run off the exit here, and he's going to try to get any draft he can, as Randy's going to try to make it 3 wide going into 1 here.
Almost 3 wide for the lead here at Kansas. Randy to the bottom, Lindsay to the top, and Nathaniel sandwiched in the middle. Oh, contact. Just a tiny touch from Randy to the back of Nathaniel. Keep in mind, though, Jared has ran the top more than anybody this race, and he's been a little bit loose up there, and that could have hurt his tires in this early running. So now Nathaniel takes over the lead. Jared going to try to fight back, and Randy looking for a hole.
Yeah, Lindsay's not going to let him run away here. Like I said, he's been running pretty hard the last 10 laps here. I've been seeing them both get really loose, as Lindsay's going to try to move down to block Randy a little bit as they all get loose off the exit of 2.
They are putting on a show here at Kansas. Battle for the second spot. Lindsay on the top, Randy to the bottom. Jared is getting way up close to that wall. He's getting a lot closer than I think I would be comfortable with here in the early run-ins. But I think as close as he's running, it's kind of hurt him. And he's slowly dropping back with that tire wear. So now a change for the lead. on lap 20. Nathaniel, Randy, Jared, your top 3.
Yeah, I think that tire wear is definitely starting to set in a little bit for Lindsay. I've watched his last 10-ish laps. He's getting real close to that wall. Seems to be mashing the gas on the exit too, because that car is getting way sideways off the exit of both 2 and 4 here. So tire wear definitely starting to become a factor for him.
Yeah, and we're seeing it now. He just a little loose. He's not really able to keep the power down. Let's ride on board with him through this corner and see, depending on what line he runs, we'll see if we can tell if he's loose. What the helmet cam? How much is he turning the wheel right? Yeah, that car's definitely not comfortable underneath him here at the moment. So the rear tires are definitely hurt, even a little loose on the straightaway. So Jared slowly going to be dropping back, and as we drop back a little bit further through the field, we see Kyle Ritchie, Matt Frady, and Casey Brown here. These 3 just behind the top 3 have been kind of just lurking. They're really 2.5 second, 1.5 seconds back, but Kyle is 2.5 seconds back from the top 3. Nobody's really pushing. They're still running that bottom lane, just nice and easy. As I say that, Matt Frady goes to the top line, just behind them. Pretty much everybody else on that bottom lane. A guy that needs a good points day, Sam Demian, in that 21, looking for, well, he's gonna need maybe everybody else to disconnect to make it. He's still at 1,000 points, but looking for a good one here. Kevin, he's just behind Kyle Ritchie, his brother, in the points. So, oh, that's the wrong picture. My bad.
I was just gonna say,
that was the wrong picture. Yeah, that was the wrong one. I had the wrong one come up, but Sam is, yeah, he's pretty much out of it. Sam's gonna need an awesome day to make it. Kyle Ritchie is in the points. Kevin, he's 10th, but not too. He's not out of it yet. One guy that does need a great day is gonna be Landon Quisenberry, tied with Jonathan Mazzella, which is, as I say that, we're having pit stops, so I will bring up the playoffs here in a minute. Sam's coming down pit road. Randy on pit road. What's the thoughts going through these crew chiefs' minds, Alex?
I think they're gonna be slapping 4 tires on these cars every single time they get a chance. I mean, like I said, we've seen the tire wear start to take effect. A lot of these guys lose through almost the entire corner, so I think a lot of these crew chiefs are gonna slap 4 on as many times as they can, and try to be smart about it, obviously. But yeah, I think they're gonna try to maximize what they can now with the set, but also try to make sure they don't lose too much time later in the run here from all the tire wear.
Yeah, and with the stage being at 50 as Randy's coming off pit road, pitted on 25. So Randy tried to split it, maybe a lap or 2 early, try to get down pit road, use those fresh tires, and try to get out ahead of everybody else when they pit by a good margin. We know he's been pretty good at saving tires. We saw in that first run. But if you were, if you were in Jared Lindsay's spot, how long would you wait to come down pit road? Because as I say that, with the worst tires,
he's coming down.
with the worst tires probably in the field, as hard as he was pushing, does have the fastest lap, but coming down pit road, I don't think he could wait much longer because he was just going to lose more and more time every lap he got left out there. So he's on pit road now. Nathaniel, does he pit this time? No, he's going to stay out even a little bit longer. So we're seeing differing strategies, which is going to be fun to see how... Oh, did he miss the button? No, he didn't. Just camera mess up. But Jared's going to roll off pit road. Where is Randy? He's on the front straightaway now. So 2 lap fresher tires from Randy. There he goes, and we'll see Jared on the bottom be passed.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Lindsay had a great entry into pit road there. He's gonna get a lot of space down from Randy Arms. Like you said, Nathaniel Landwehr still hasn't pit yet.
The wall?
I think we've seen it a couple of times this season. He's actually been the guy to stay out, as he's gonna just a little bit of a scrape
way
there.
Too close.
he's been the guy, I think, to stay out of those extra couple of laps just to make them tires work just a little bit more. Probably not the smartest move, as I'm sure when we'll see whether or not is he gonna get loose? But off 2, they're currently running still in the 31s. Actually, he's up from his last couple of times. Oh, I'm looking at practice. Excuse me. Anyways, currently running as he's gonna make his way down to pit lane. No more tires for him as he's gonna get a little bit loose and
maybe made it down pit road. I don't know. You have to check. But
I
look
will
at the
check
lap times.
right now.
His last lap at the top right of the screen, 33.3 for Nathaniel. That last lap time by for Randy, 31.7. So he stayed out, give it 3 or 4 laps longer than Randy, and Randy was only a second back. So 2.5 seconds quicker per lap over Nathaniel. He's going to have a big gap. As we see Nathaniel on pit road, Randy's there. Lindsay is middle of the corner now. So not too far back from him. Let's take a big look at this whole deal as it shakes out. Jared entering one. We see Nathaniel on the bottom. He's just now being passed. So Nathaniel goes by, or Nathaniel gets dropped. Jared is fighting with Mazzella. Entering the corner, Randy Arms is 5th. He should get Austin right here. He does. So last lap time by. We'll see what it is at the stripe. Look at the top right of your screen. At the line, Randy Arms, 31.87. Then just behind him, for Nathaniel, a 30, well, it was a 104 because he just came out of pit road. But next lap, we can really see when he crosses. Jared Lindsay, 31.6. So about 0.2 of a second faster for Jared. 3.5 seconds back with 20 to go till the stage.
Yeah, I think this could be really interesting strategy from a lot of these guys here, Cabe, because we saw even just a couple of laps how much of a difference that makes from the top 3 basically being covered by a blanket. They're all spread out by a couple of seconds now, and
Fastest lap of the race
yeah,
that time.
yeah,
Nathaniel, 31.5.
yeah. See whether or not Nathaniel's going to be able to use those tires to push. I'm sure he's going to want to try to get as many stage points as he can, and currently up into the 6th position, going on the bottom of Kyle Ritchie. And yeah, we'll see whether or not the strategy will work out for him in the end. Might not be a stage win if Randy can hold out for another 18 laps till the stage. And also just another comment too. I mean, Nathaniel did not get a speeding penalty coming into pit lane, so I'm sure he
Very
just
lucky.
barely got the mark there.
Well, Michael Davis is the only car that is still out on the racetrack running 33.5, so really not that far off lap time wise of what the guys leading was before they pitted, as we're going to see Sam go by. So possibly Michael trying to keep everybody a lap down. Not really sure, but he's committed out there waiting for the yellow. If he's able to keep everybody a lap down, you know, it could be a pretty big day for Michael Davis.
Let's see here. Randy gonna cross the stripe with 16 to go till the stage. Currently at about a 3-second lead over the will be the second place car after the pit cycle fully cycles out. About 3 seconds to Jared Lindsay now, as he's made the pass on Schwartz, I believe, last lap. So yeah, this is gonna go on the exit of 2 there. Nathaniel hunting them both down with those fresher tires. We'll see whether or not he can actually get past the 2. We've seen them be pretty racy. Whether or not they can actually keep Nathaniel behind them, we'll see whether he can fight hard enough to keep him behind him.
Well, my math is never good. It's all right looking at, relative lap times and whatever else racing, but math-wise, not great. But Randy Arms' last lap was a 3, Jared was a 2, and Landwehr was a 31.7. So a lot faster, over 0.5 of a second that time for Nathaniel. I think he's going to have enough time to catch Jared, but with 2.5 seconds ahead of Jared from Randy, I don't think that there's enough time for either one of them to catch Randy in 15 laps.
I'm not too sure. I mean, considering he's gaining by a couple of tenths a lap, I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pass Jared Lindsay within the next couple of laps. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Landwehr gets at least kind of close to Randy, unless he can somehow pull something out of the bag and bring his times down a little bit, running a 32.4 that last lap, and Nathaniel running a 31.8, 6/10 quicker. We'll see whether or not he can keep the pace up without burning his tires off too much, and see whether or not he can catch Randy.
As he's going to start to put the moves on Jared. Let's see what lane he goes with. Actually going to follow him into the corner. But with the better tires, it doesn't even matter. Going to drive right around the outside of him. Jared Lindsay going to try to defend, but he's not even going to be able to. Nathaniel into second place down the back straightaway and sets his sights on Randy. Yeah, never mind. I think he's going to have enough time. He's got 10 laps.
Yeah, I don't
It
know.
was
I
a
think
lot slower than or a lot faster than what I thought. Sixth
yeah,
that
if
time at the
Jared,
line for Randy. 9-4 that time for Nathaniel.
yeah, this is gonna be very interesting for Randy. Don't think he's gonna be able to hold him off very much, but I'm sure he won't be super disappointed if he can at least keep second before the stage.
Well, we'll bring up the points once again. I'll bring up the actual points and the correct points this time. So we see the top 5 pretty okay. One guy that is not here this week is Ryan Tiller, sitting 5th in the points, 20 points back from Casey, or ahead of Casey Brown, which is having a pretty decent day in that 7th spot. So if you are Casey Brown, Jonathan Mazzella, he's also tied with Landon Quisenberry. So those 3 are tied for that spot. Jonathan just ahead of him. Quisenberry just behind. What is your mindset heading into this one, knowing Tiller's not here, if you were Casey Brown or Jonathan Mazzella?
Man, I think with how the points work, if I'm Casey Brown, my mindset's just finish ahead of Mazzella and you're into the next round. Because, yeah, with Tiller not being here, he is a. Let's see if I can do the math really quickly here. He's got a 14. Yeah, that's not as big of a gap as I would want. And if Casey Brown could somehow manage to finish in front of Mazzella and possibly finish in the top 5, I think he's got a really good shot of making it to the next round with no trouble.
Yeah, and I mean he's just behind him. Like, he's actually having a good run, but with the playoffs and everything like that, one thing that Casey's gonna have to keep in mind, he's gonna need to beat him at the line or at this finish. If it were to finish like this for the stage, he's gonna have to beat Mazzella by 2 spots because of the stage points and Mazzella getting that 1 over him. So we'll see how it shakes out and where that comes to play later in this one, as we're closing in on a battle for the lead. 0.2 of a second that last time. I don't see Randy being able to defend for 8 laps, but Randy, can he hold them off for at least a few to possibly burn up the tires to maybe get there? 0.5 of a second better that time for Nathaniel. I don't see it. Just going to drive right around his outside, to the outside, on the wall, and clear for the lead. So Nathaniel way out to lead as he gives Randy a swerve to the point. Back to it on lap 43.
Man, what a surprising difference that just 5 laps makes. You would think it wouldn't make too much of a difference, but I guess at a track like Kansas World, like I said, the tire wear is going to matter. We saw it was a really big fall off going from 31s to 33s at the end of the run there, and that was 25 laps in. So, yeah, what a difference 5 laps make. Definitely, sure a lot of these guys are going to note that too, knowing that if they can stay out just a couple more laps, that it'll help them out in the latter stages of the race when trying to catch somebody else in front of them who might have pit before them.
Yeah, Nathaniel putting down some really good lap times late in the running in this one. 0.6 of a second better. And that's one thing that's cool about the stage, is these guys know they can mark it down in their notebooks. Crew chiefs on top of the box can also note it down, tire wear and different things like that with these pit stops. But with that first stage, you can kind of set yourself up and kind of have an idea what the plan is for the second stint of the race. So as we see Kevin Ritchie go a lap down, unless they're able to gain 8 seconds on Cade Ferguson, Kevin should be the lucky dog. But a little run down to the field. Nathaniel Landwehr, your leader. Randy Arms, Jared Lindsay, same top 3 we see most of the race. Jonathan Swartz in battle with Kyle Ritchie here for that stage point, which could be important, especially for that Ritchie brother fighting with Casey Brown, Jonathan Mazzella. But I don't think Kyle needs to be too aggressive with it, as we know Tiller's not here, only a few points behind him, but he should be all right as long as he's able to finish tonight or have a decent run. Kyle Ritchie, that is. But Swartz goes by. So pretty decent run for those guys at the moment. We see Matt Frady just behind as we got the battle for that extra spot. Here comes Casey Brown to the inside of Jonathan Mazzella. battle for the stage. Not the stage win, but for an important point to make it to that next round. Riding
Yeah,
on board with Mazzella.
we've seen it over the last couple of laps. We saw Casey Brown start to gain a little bit of speed. He's been having himself a pretty good run so far, and yeah, I believe he actually also pitted later than Mazzella as well. See if I can find out really quickly. Find out what lap he pitted. He pitted lap 26. Let's see, Mazzella pitted lap 23, so he's got a 3-lap tire advantage and seems to pay off just that little bit more. Like I said before, even a couple of laps makes that much of a difference, and currently starting to pull away and make his mark. And like I said before, he needs that. The extra point will matter. We wouldn't be surprised if we see a really close gap at the end of this race for the next round. And Casey Brown's starting to make his stamp to take himself to the next round.
Yeah, and if Casey's able to hold it off, that'll be a very big point for him. These two have been kind of that, not mid-pack, but out of the 6 that are in front of them, pretty much guys that have run top 5 all season or top 5 in the points. So, with that being said, these two have to battle it out right now for that extra point, and I'm assuming this is going to be also the battle or close to it at the end of the race. So, as this is the battle here, Mazzella's going to try to drive it in. He's all over the back bumper of Casey Brown. I know we're talking about points as Casey's going to get loose. Mazzella just behind him did as well. But as much as we're talking about points, this is big for the playoffs. Mazzella teammates with Jared Lindsay and Nathaniel Landwehr. And for that being said, if he gets knocked out this lap or this race, he could just solely focus on helping those two. And if not, then he's got to fight for himself and try to go after the championship himself. But up front at the moment, as he crosses the start-finish line, Nathaniel Landwehr is going to get the stage with Randy Arms, Jared Lindsay, Jonathan Swartz, Kyle just behind him, Matt Frady, Casey Brown, Jonathan Mazzella. Caution should fly here. Sam Nemian, Landon Quisenberry, Michael Davis as the caution comes out. Well, kind of had it all there, Alex, in that first stage. Had a lot of strategy, a lot of drivers with a lot of speed, and a lot of good racing there, especially in the early runnings of it.
Yeah, that first little run we had there before the first cycle of pit stops, there was a lot of great racing, couple 3-wide action going on, a lot of passes on the top, on the bottom. Like I said, you can go anywhere. This is great to see. It's like kind of like Texas last week, where you can experiment and you can go in different places you didn't think you were going to be able to make work. And yeah, another big thing, strategy. We've seen it play out well for a lot of guys like Nathaniel Landwehr, just waiting an extra couple of laps. We saw him pull a 2.5-second gap to Randy Arms there for the stage, and yeah, very impressive to see him pull out that much just for a couple of lap difference. But like I mentioned before, I think a lot of guys are going to take note of that, and if they can push just a couple extra laps of an end of a fuel run just to get a little bit of a tire advantage later on in the race, it could work some pretty well for a lot of these guys, especially the guys fighting on the border of the points.
Everybody's going to peel off here. Little bumps down the straightaway, which my mic was muted, so my apologies there. Right side's going up for everybody. Who is going to take 2, if anybody? I doubt it, but there could be a player. Swartz has done a few different strategies. Drops the jack. Landwehr is going to win the race off of pit road. Randy, Jared, Swartz, Kyle, Matt, Casey, Mazzella loses actually a few spots, which is big for him. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just came out back there. Yeah, he just was a little bit further back. Well, it's kind of a gaggle of cars, but should be pretty much the same front runners as we saw before the caution came out. So, who do you want to talk to, Alec? You want to get fan favorite in here? I know he's not been having the best playoffs, I guess, but that 28 machine, fan favorite, Jersey Mike's car with the hostess on the back. Or Honey Buns, my bad. Not Jersey Mike's.
Let's see. Yeah, let's go bring our friend in here. I'm gonna go drag him up right now. Oops, that's not the right booth. There he is. Oh, that's the wrong guy too.
Uh,
Jesus, never mind.
oh,
Mikey, oh
no, been
goodness
gone.
me. Oh, Mikey, you got a copy.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Welcome back to the booth, my man. We've seen you up here quite a few times this year. Having an okay day so far. What's going on so far with you throughout this entire race?
Uh, I'm just basically trying to finish this one. I wouldn't say Kansas is one of my strong tracks, but car's real loose. Uh, I feel good on it on the long run. Honestly, it just felt like towards that stage caution right there, the tires was really wearing, really affected my run. But other than that, dude, just riding back here, trying to stay out the way.
Well, like I say, yeah, we've seen a lot of guys get really loose, and not surprising to hear another guy mention it. You got any other strategy calls for the rest of the race? Or you just thinking of riding out the rest of the race here?
Well, Alex, I feel like there's a lot of drivers listening, so I'm not gonna give my strategy out right now. Uh, but I'm just gonna run and gun it, baby. You know me, get it up, get gone, buddy. We're gonna get out of here. That's all I'm gonna do.
Uh,
We're about to
all
go
right.
green. Let's do
Well,
this
hey,
shit.
Billy J in the chat commented and said, "Go for the win." So go get it there, Mikey.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for it. Let's go, boys.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mikey Adams, in the booth. Fan favorite every week. We'll have to get a talk in with him as we're going back green. Pace car pulls off. I was a little delayed. My apologies once again. But Nathaniel to the point. Jared, Kyle, Randy, Swartz, Casey, Matt with a big run. This is a battle right here. Top two have kind of pulled away, but this is a battle as we start the second stage, or the final stage of the race.
Yeah, really big gaggle of cars back there. Doesn't seem super racy, but they are in a pretty big pack right now, trying to navigate through the corners and trying not to take each other out. Like I said, Matt Frady get a really good run on the backstretch there to pass a couple of cars. Unfortunately, not fighting for any playoff spots or anything like that, but another guy we've seen be pretty dominant for a couple of races here, and could be a little playoff upsetter here for a couple of guys who are fighting for some very valuable points.
Yeah, and as we're riding on board with the brand new drone cam that follows the field, hopefully able to get that driver out every week. The guy piloting it is Wyatt. Not a great race car driver pilot, but a great drone pilot. And we're seeing it nice and steady behind everybody. So a great view. Thank you to Wyatt Garrett, the drone operator. As we're seeing everybody here with the battles, as we got a battle for third and the battle for the lead just in front of them. Kyle Ritchie looking underneath a Randy. Fastest lap of the race that last time by. Take a guess who? Jared Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm sure draft helping him out a little bit there. He's staying on his bumper. He seems to be just following his line, not trying to go offline or go do anything too crazy right now. I don't think he wants to try to push too hard. Maybe try to find that little bit of extra speed where he can and try to get himself a run. He's gonna stay, like I said, stay pretty close to his bumper and just follow him through the corner and not do anything too crazy.
Yeah, he's not really running that other line. I think he kind of learned in that first run what not to do. Go up to that high side and burn off those tires too quickly. But just behind them, the big battle for that third spot, Kyle Ritchie and Randy Arms going after it here. We got battles all over this racetrack, and I can zoom out the camera maybe just a little bit here to see both of them. There you go. See both of them. See the top six on the screen. Now, out of the top six here, who are you looking at here that could apply everything that they learned in that first running? We see Swartz up there early on the top side. Don't know how that strategy will work, but what do you think here? And if you had to make an early prediction for this last run, what do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised to see if Randy Arms has learned himself a little bit during the stage break, because we saw him be the main culprit of that, just pitting a couple of laps early than some of the other guys, and it didn't work out well for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps that in the back of his head for a later pit stop, just to hopefully gain himself a little bit of extra speed over the long run and pit a little bit later. Yeah, like I said, wouldn't be surprised to see him take that into account later on for the next pit stop.
And he's got a little bit of right rear damage if we ride on board with Kyle and we can see the right rear damage from Randy. So I don't know what that's from. maybe pit road incidents or something like that, as we got the battle for the lead just in front of them. Jared to the bottom. Nathaniel kind of run that middle lane. Doesn't really have anything for him yet to pull away, but just lurking. Jared all over his back bumper.
Yeah, kind of surprising to see. I mean, I know so. Oh, so we got a wreck in the back.
Contact 2 playoff drivers, the 2 that are going after it. I was just about to switch the cameras to it. And what happened here? Caution. The first caution of the night from 2 playoff drivers. Let's take a look at it here down the front straightaway. Slow-mo. Alex, what do you see here?
Oh, I see some unfortunate contact between 2 of the main guys fighting for the playoffs to make it to the next round of the playoffs, and Mazzella moves up just a little bit too much and squeezes Casey Brown, and I mean, as soon as he started moving up, that was basically it there, and unfortunately, not much Casey Brown could do there. He's already basically pinned to the wall, and yeah, I don't think Mazzella was expecting him to be that close, but. Oh, actually, if anything, it almost looks like they just come together a little bit, and Casey Brown just turns in for the corner. But very unfortunate contact for the 2, very avoidable contact, might I add. And yeah, we'll see how this affects the playoffs. Right now, Casey Brown right below the cutoff line with about 5 points to Kyle Ritchie. Mazzella tied with those points as well. So, or sorry, not yes, Mazzella. Oh my God, I'm thinking of somebody else. Could be good news for Quisenberry. He's not running super far high up in the top 10 right now, but he is tied with 1,067 points with a lot of other guys here. So we're going to see the leaders come down pit road.
Yeah, we see different strategies, and this caution is definitely going to spice it up. We just crossed the halfway point, 57 laps to go, and we see Jared Nathaniel down pit road, Sam, Casey, Michael, Landon, Cade, and Mozella on pit road. They're all going to stop. Everybody else, Randy, Kyle, Matt, Jonathan, Mikey, Michael, and Josh, stay out on pit road. So, with that being said, how well are these tires going to hold up against those new ones? And if this race does go green, then what? That is the big question here at the moment. While we have everybody under caution, you want to talk to Randy and see what his strategy is?
Yeah, so I'll just give him 1 second. I just want to make sure. Yeah, Nathaniel Landwehr did beat Jared Lindsay off the pit road. Very close battle there, almost by a bumper, and they both took another set of tires, which is kind of surprising to see. I know it wasn't a really long run, but clearly these guys are starting to
Tires
prioritize
matter,
those tires
and I
a
think
little bit
these
too
guys
much.
know it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Randy in here.
Randy, you got a copy, my man.
I got you.
Oh well, we've seen a lot of great races tonight. We've seen you be in the mix, pretty much this entire race. Strategy's been a big talk about tonight. We've seen it, unfortunately, affect you, towards the end of the stage there. And yeah, do you got any further plans for the rest of the race and how you're gonna run your strategy?
No, not really. Wasn't sure really if I wanted to pit there or not. I only have a couple sets of tires left, so we pitted. We don't have one left, and we have to pit again. So, kind of put us in a spot with tires. If we go green, those guys will look like a genius. If we have yellows, then we'll look like a genius. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we had some unfortunate contact there between 2 playoff contenders trying to make it into the next round, and yeah, like you said, wouldn't be surprised if we see another untimely caution later on here. And like I said, it could help you guys out a lot. You and Cal Ritchie, Matt Frady, a lot of you guys down on the top 5 there. It could work out perfectly. And yeah, we'll see how it works out for those guys towards the back who just they did just take a brand new set of tires too. So I don't know how much it'll affect you guys. We'll see it. I believe you guys are about to go green, so we'll let you go here.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Good luck, Randy.
Thank you.
So Randy there in an interesting spot, and it looks like the top 6 or 7 are in a fun one here. So as we come back to the green, it's going to be 54 laps to go in the elimination race at Kansas. Pace car makes the left-hand turn. They slowly come into that box. Randy and Kyle going to lead them back to the green. Into one now. Matt Frady has the advantage over Kyle. And Matt Frady looking to make some moves and make something happen. But now we're going to see a big battle and squeeze down the back straightaway. Jared Lindsay's going to try to make something happen right in front of everybody else. I just want to ride on board with this guy because he's got a pretty good view of it. Cade Ferguson right behind everybody else, as Jared's going to be almost 3 wide. Everybody's stuck behind it. Michael Davis right here. And Jared Lindsay is going to have an awful restart, getting held up majorly as we see Nathaniel, that blue car on the bottom, way up in front of him. Big restart there is Josh Abney sideways. Now he's able to clear. And Jared Lindsay is going to have to put on a show to be able to get back up front and catch his biggest competitor all race, it seemed like, from Nathaniel. But change for the lead as we were talking about it. New leader on lap 67, Matt Frady.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, it could be a little bit of a playoff spoiler here. Obviously, he's not really fighting for anything right now, not even in the playoffs at all, but could shake up the points a little bit if he somehow manages to pull off a sneaky win here. We got a wreck in the back.
That's Sam Demian, another playoff driver. Spins, and it looks like, I mean, he talked about it, and he said it. Could look like a genius if we get a few cautions, and that's exactly what ended up happening. I'm assuming these guys are going to come down pit road now. We ran a few laps, but let's take a look at it. What do you see happen here? Let's ride on board with the 18. You should have a good view of it.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say the 18, unfortunately, involved in that. Just Demian gets a little bit loose in the middle of 1 and 2, and at that point, I don't think Lindsay's expecting him to get that loose, and unfortunately finished him off there, and that's going to be an unfortunate end to Demian's day. Unfortunately, he was sitting last in points in the playoffs. Needed to have himself a perfect day, but day just gets worse for him, unfortunately. And yeah, Lindsay, unfortunately, involved in the incident as well.
Yeah, just you see Sam just a little loose and nowhere for Jared to go. Unfortunate for Sam, but these cars have been a handful. So as we come down the back straightaway and close to pit road, who is going to pit? Matt stays out. Randy to pit road, Swartz to pit road, Josh, Mikey, Michael, Landon, Mozilla, and Sam to pit road.
Kind of surprising to see Frady stay out there. I mean, like this has been the conversation the entire race. It's tires, tires, and tires. Clearly, a couple of guys thinking they can at least hold their own for a little bit. We see the guys in third, or currently Nathaniel in third, Jared Lindsay in fifth at the moment. On those fresher tires than everybody else, and we'll see how it works out for them at the end, whether or not they can actually hold off these guys on just a couple of lap fresher tires. But we've seen how big of a difference it can make in the long run, and I mean, I don't think we were really expecting this caution, like we mentioned before. Untimely cautions happen all the time, so we'll see how it works out for some of these guys throughout the field.
Yeah, so we're seeing on pit road, Randy got 4 tires, but then stayed on pit road to fix that right rear damage. Same thing with Mozilla. So Randy going to go to the back after fixing damage. You want to get a talking to with actually 2 teammates this race. You want to do it at the same time? Talk with Matt and Kyle?
Let's bring them in.
All right, we got Kyle, Matt, and their crew chief, Wyatt Garrett, in the booth with us here. You both stayed out. What is your guys' strategy here?
Save a set of tires.
Save a set of tires? I kind of thought so, but as big as tires have been, and me and Alex most of this race have been talking about it, we're shocked that you guys did, especially getting a quick yellow. Going to have better tires, or at least Randy and a lot of the field is, after pitting that time. So what is your kind of ideal
Wait, I know the league's not notorious for late race yellows, but the way this car was driving on like 30-lap old tires, if there's a wreck late, I want a set of tires just in case.
Facts.
Well, I don't disagree with you. You saw how loose Sam was there, and unfortunate contact with Jared Lindsay spun him around. But the guy on top of the box for you guys, Wyatt Garrett, also doing a great job flying our drone cam. Wyatt, what have you seen tonight?
He's not even on the top of the. Hold on.
I'm driving an ARCA car.
He's racing something else.
All right.
Our crew chief's on vacation right now.
Yeah.
Well, the crew chief is figuring out changes to make for you boys right now. So good luck the rest of the race, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Kyle, Matt, and their, I guess, cheerleader, Wyatt Garrett there, gonna lead them back to the green after staying out on the old tires. And a possible big reset for Jared Lindsay. Going to restart 5th behind his teammate and guy that he is racing for this win, it looks like, at least strategy-wise. Matt and Kyle in the box. Matt fires, back green. Good restart for Matt. Kyle doesn't look like he's going to have that good of a restart to be able to do anything and fight Jared on the bottom. There you go. All right. What do you see, Alex? Early moves being made.
I see a lot of difference in tires right now. I mean, like we said, Nathaniel on those fresher tires, and he was just able to sail around the outside as Jared Lindsay's going to join him on the bottom and slide up in front of Matt Frady. Thankfully, no contact between the two. Yeah, like I said before, the difference in tires, it's starting to show itself as we see Schwartz starting to make his way through the field, and the two, your former leader and outsider, currently down to fourth and fifth now as they're trying to hold up as much as they can to keep those tires alive. Like Kyle mentioned before, I think the extra set of tires at the end of the race is smart. Whether we get a caution is debatable. Like I said, we will see whether we actually get one or not. But right now, tires working out well for Nathaniel Landwehr and Jared Lindsay.
Well, we're seeing how much the tires matter for Kyle and Matt. If we get a yellow here, they're looking to be a million IQ, but if they don't and it goes green, they're going to be big on the back foot as we see the new tires from Randy Arms going to drive through the middle of them, and Randy's going to shoot the gap and pass 3 cars in one corner and move Randy into the 4th spot now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not super surprising. He's on the freshest tires out of anybody in the field right now, and seem to be working out pretty well, even if it's only been a couple of laps. And
Making the most of it.
Like I said, yeah, it seems to make that much of a difference, which I find really intriguing.
And we're seeing kind of the differing strategies. The top 4 are going to pull away with the new tires. Everybody else either on the older tires compared to a lot of them, or just stayed out so far. And the top 3 are they're going to go after it here. So I'm not going to leave the top 3 probably for the next few laps. Maybe just check on the guys out back, see if they're 3 wide or getting crazy. But these 3 are going to get after it here. The 3 last week, Alex, at Texas, not a track that you'd think would have photo finishes and insane restarts and finishes, but last week, need to go take a look at it. They were 3 wide, slipping and sliding sideways across the line. Schwartz moved Jared into Landwehr, and they were 3 wide, almost pretty much wrecking across the line, but they all finished in the top 3. And what a finish it was is Schwartz is going to drive around Lindsay. These 3 are going to make this race fun. If we get a late race restart, especially, I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, these 3 have honestly been the class of the field for most of the year, and yeah, like you said last week, was a surprise to see a car finish backwards across the line as I believe it was Schwartz who ended up backwards crossing the line, or was it
Jared?
I think it was Jared backwards. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I don't even
too
remember.
crazy for me to remember, but yeah, three of these guys been the class of the field for this race and honestly for a lot of the season here. Yeah, great team play for a lot of these for these 3, and seem to be working out pretty well. Randy's starting to catch just a little bit, pretty much gapped the rest of the field behind him, but trying to make as much time as he can to the 3 leaders to make his mark and hopefully pass his way into the top 3, maybe take the lead with those fresher tires.
At this moment, he's running not faster lap times than the top 2. So Schwartz and Landwehr, both in the 6s that last lap. That time by, Randy was a 7. That time, Randy was a little bit quicker, a 7.2 to a 7.6, 8.1, and 7.7. So, a little quicker there for Randy, but it's going to matter. Yes, he's got better tires, but it's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him.
Yeah, and I think another main thing here is, while I know, like you said, the tires are a little bit fresher, but I think it'll matter more towards the end of a run. Just how much the little bit of an extra bit of life can help you towards the end of the run, I think is going to matter a lot, especially for Randy. We've seen him be pretty good on his tires most of the year, and seems to keep his tires just a little bit better than everybody else. So, and the fact that he's got even fresher tires in the top 3 makes me think that towards the end of a run, we'll see him lurch his way towards the front.
Yeah, and we're seeing from the top 3, they're really not running the very bottom and kind of run that Randy line where they kind of pin the left front on that white line and let it sit. They're kind of running just about half a lane up as we're seeing the battle for the lead spice up once again. Nathaniel to the top, one of the best guys on the long run, and we seen it in that first run, and he got the stage from it, from a little bit of strategy and the long run though. Swartz doing a great job working the bottom to try to force Nathaniel up there for a few corners to possibly burn off the tires is an amazing strategy if that is what Swartz is trying to do, which it looks like Nathaniel's keeps blocking the top to make sure that he's on the outside lane as Swartz is going to clear. So move Swartz to the lead on lap 82 with just under 40 laps to go.
Yeah, starting to notice these guys are kind of just going back and forth and switching lines as Schwartz is going to block and he's going to, oh, a little bit of contact, but keeps it straight as Nathaniel's going to try to get a run on the bottom here, stay with his teammate. I was just going to mention that these guys are kind of going back and forth between the lines. They're just taking, one's taking the top, one's taking the bottom, one lap, and then they'll kind of swap. And right now it looks to me that the top's working just that little bit better.
Well, kind of reminiscent of last week with the block down the back straightaway. Almost ended in disaster, but they were both able to get away with it. Now, 3 of the top 4 on the high side. Jared Lindsay's a little loose, and down the back straightaway, contact made Randy into the side of him. Big contact. Now Jared to the bottom. Way up the racetrack, into the outside wall. What happened there? Down pit road, it looks like Jared's going to come. Does he have a black flag or a meatball? What happened there?
Looks to me just like
contact.
Randy slides up in front of him, and unfortunately, just a little bit of a wrong time bump there for Randy as the yellow is out.
Well, we're seeing, so as we'll look at the caution here in a second. We see it, Jared just a little bit sideways. He comes off the corner, loses a little bit momentum. Randy sees it, comes up the track, and Jared just either tried to cross over or tried to make sure to line up a push with Randy and kind of swiped. And then Randy tries to stay off him, doesn't, gets in the door of Jared. And then the caution somehow comes out. I don't know what for, though, or where
right
at.
Here, Cade. You'll see it in just a second. Just a untimely move by Casey Brown there, just to try. He tries to go down to the bottom, and Quisenberry, nowhere to go for him. Unfortunately, another playoff driver involved, actually fighting Casey Brown for the points. That's going to be another incident for Casey Brown, and yeah, Quisenberry, I don't think he's going to be too happy about that. Just a little bit of an aggressive move there to try to block the bottom, and just didn't work out well. Casey Brown managed to save it, so it's going to be better for him.
It worked out for Casey Brown.
Yeah, Quisenberry.
Well,
not good. He's getting the short end of the stick.
Before this happens, I'm assuming everybody's going to come down pit road, but the IQ will say from Kyle Ritchie and Matt Frady, no matter what, they're going to have an extra set than most of this field. So I think pretty much the whole field. So with that being said, if we run 20 laps here and get a caution, this could be very big for Kyle and Matt Frady here. But at the moment, it evens the playing field once again. They're going to be able to drive as hard as they want, knowing that if they get a caution, they can just come down pit road. It won't matter. The front guys will have to be smart about it. Not run 100%. They could run about 85 or 90, but they're going to have to save a little bit just in case. As the race off of pit road, Swartz wins it. Nathaniel second. Kyle third. Josh, Michael, Cade, Matt, Mikey, Jonathan, and... will it be Randy, Casey, maybe Sam? It'll be Sam or Randy. Race off pit road. It's Sam. Sam got it. Good job, Sam. So, Alex, with just under 30 laps, or just about 30 laps to go, when we get back going green, tell me, what are you thinking about every competitor, at least inside the top 5 here, heading to the green before we get back running?
You know, I was going to mention it before you were talking about the strategy. If I'm the guys who've been running towards the front most of this race, like Schwartz, Landwehr, and I believe, who else was fighting? Oh, Schwartz. Oh, yeah, Schwartz is leading. Never mind. Your top. Oh, Jared Lindsay. That's who I'm forgetting. If I'm them, I'd be a little bit worried right now, considering we've had 2 not, you know, super unexpected cautions come out, and we saw them before. They wanted to just burn that extra set, but I don't really know how well this is going to work out for them in the end, especially knowing there's a couple of guys behind them who have an extra set, and 20 laps is going to be a huge difference if, like you said, if we get another 25 lap run and we get a caution, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of guys come down pit road and without a doubt take tires.
Now, if we run 5 laps here and get a caution, do you think that they still come down pit road?
I don't think so. I think they hold it out. I mean, right now everybody's going to be fresh, so I don't think the 5 laps will make that much of a difference. I think there's a bit of a gamble, though. If you do only go 5 laps, and let's say we go green the rest of the race, and you didn't pit, I don't know. Is it going to make much of a difference?
Well, that's what we're getting ready to find out. How much are the tires going to come into play later if we do get a caution? But right now, we're going to have a 32 lap to go restart to send them off. Jonathan Swartz and Nathaniel Landwehr to lead them back to the green. The flag band waves it, and we're green. Swartz to a big jump, able to get to the lead, and we've seen it multiple times, especially this season. Swartz gets to the lead and doesn't want to give it up. He gets to the lead, has a gap. He's going to have at least a lap or two before Nathaniel at least gets there to him. So, how hard does Jonathan run it? How hard does Kyle run to try to get there? And Mikey's running the fence.
If I'm these guys right now, I think you should play it a little bit safe. Like I said, we've had 2 unexpected cautions come out within the last 20 laps. So I think if I'm them, I play it a little bit safe, preserve as much as they can. I'm not sure whether or not they're actually out of tires at this point or if they still have an extra set. But
Josh is sideways.
as we get a little bit of contact to the back with Kyle Ritchie and Josh Abney.
I think it was just air. I don't think Josh touched anything. Josh just
I saw a little bit of smoke there, but yeah, we'll see here as Kyle Ritchie's going to elect to take the top here and get himself a good run on Landwehr. He's not going to, the top 2 aren't going to run away with this as quick as I thought they would.
No, Kyle makes the good move, decides it's time to move up to the top side, and there he goes to the top. Can he get to the lead? Cade sideways. Whoa, big save for Cade.
Yeah, great move by Kyle Ritchie to take it to the top there. It's worked out beautifully as Schwartz isn't going to be able to get to him here. Ritchie's going to take a commanding lead here with a nice move on the outside, and a little bit of smoke down to the back, no wrecking or anything, just a little bit of contact. And another update from pit road, actually. Your guy in 3rd place in points, or 4th place in points around, Jared Lindsay, is actually a lap down. So this potentially is going to be I would say a race ender, but
be interesting.
With how little laps we have left in this race, coming to 29 to go after this lap, could be interesting for him in the points. I don't actually think that buffer is going to be insanely. He's only got a 12-point buffer to the cutoff line right now.
He's 15th, but he's not out of it. He's got a good gap, but he's not, on the bubble. So we'll see how that comes into play.
Yeah, it could be an interesting shake in the playoffs after we come to the checkered flag here in 29 laps.
Well, hey, one thing I will say, something I made a comment about. Kyle knows that he can just go. Matt knows that he can just go, because if it runs green, they're going to build the gap. They're going to have the speed. Kyle said, screw it, I'm going to go to the top. Executed the pass well. And same thing from Matt Frady. Perfect move from both of them. How the cautions have fallen for both of them. They're going to run the bottom now, keep the dirty air on the 2 behind them, and try to save a little bit of tire. If it does go green, and if they get a caution, they're sitting pretty.
Yeah, like Randy mentioned before in his interview, if we get those couple of cautions, that could work out for some of these guys here, like Richie and Frady. They look like geniuses, and so far it looks to be playing in their favor. I just want to point out, Mazzella's starting to make his way back through the field, up into the top 5 after having some unfortunate contact earlier, and looking to keep himself inside the top 6.
Yeah, we saw him that last time on pit road, the last few times on pit road, just trying to repair a little bit of damage, make sure that he's in it, and he's going to look to the inside of his teammate now, maybe throw a little fake, but just behind him, not too far back, but a little bit of a gap as this train's kind of formed. Casey Brown, he can see where he needs to get to bit himself into that next round, but at the moment, it should be Jonathan Mazzella who gets that spot if it shakes out in that way.
Yeah, right now, if I'm Kyle Ritchie and Matt Frady, I'd be getting a little bit excited right now. I mean, we see your former leaders, Schwartz and Landwehr, kind of holding up the field right now as Mazel's going to try to make a move on the outside just to get past and not be held up as much and try to challenge for the lead. But they're kind of just in a train right now. They can't really do much to pass two guys, even on a couple of lap older tires. And yeah, right now, if I'm the top two, I'm feeling pretty excited.
Well, we're seeing Mazzella keep trying to run that outside line, and he's looking to the outside. He's a little loose on exit, though. He's turning right more than he is left, kind of taking the Light McQueen, Doc Hudson strategy. Turn right to go left as he runs that outside line, but now moved Nathaniel into the third spot. See him make the move on Jonathan, and he, I think, has said, enough is enough. I'm coming.
Yeah, pace is starting to pick up for these third and fourth place guys. It's still a little bit of a train behind, but they're starting to close the gap just a little bit. Maybe we're starting to see the top two burn their stuff just a little bit, but remember, they do have that extra set of tires that a lot of the field doesn't have, so this could work out perfect for them if we get a caution within the next 23 laps.
Yeah, we're seeing the top two's pace, a 32.2 from Kyle, a 31.9, and a 31.7 for your top three. At the line that time, 32.1, 32.2, 31.9. So 0.3 of a second better for Nathaniel. Is it going to be enough? And does he have the tire to get by both of these two Toyotas? 3 Toyotas leading the field, might I add. So to the bottom of the racetrack, Nathaniel goes. Can he keep the rears underneath him to keep that drive off? He does. So move Nathaniel into the second spot now. He gets around Matt Frady.
Yeah, all of a sudden just decided to pick up the pace out of nowhere, which is surprising. Like we said, not sure if he has that extra set of tires or not, but given how much he has pit this race, wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't. At this point, just kind of throwing caution to the wind and just going to see what he can do. We only got 22 laps to go at the moment, so whether or not he can actually keep it up front is up to his tires.
Well, you know the point situation. He's got a big gap no matter what. He's locked into the second round. By this stage in the race, he's locked into the second round. He's not really got anything to lose. So he just opened up the loud paddle and just has said it's go time and trying to just get around these guys. If it burns off the tires and maybe Schwartz catches later, who knows? But right now, Kyle Ritchie's still holding him off. Not too bad.
Yeah, Frady's not going to let him escape either. He's going to throw it under the inside of 3 here, and he's going to get a little sideways. Going to keep himself straight, though, off the exit of 4, but he's not going to let Landwehr run away with it and try to help his teammate to keep the lead.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Kyle throwing the aero blocks. He's doing a great job of it. Matt Frady lurking on that high side. Let's ride on board with Matt as he's way sideways on the exit of 2. Matt's been running that high side, just hasn't gotten that big run off on corner exits, and that's what's been hurting him. He's going to try to run the middle. He's loose on the entry. Got to keep it underneath him. But the rear tires are just gone for Matt Frady, so he's not able to get a run to try to help his teammate Kyle Ritchie and force Nathaniel either to the outside or to the bottom. But I think right now Nathaniel's kind of committed to waiting. He knows he's got the speed, but how long can he wait for?
Yeah, at this point, I'm sure it's going to get to a lot of these drivers' heads of whether or not we will actually get a caution or not. So I think you kind of have to gamble whether or not you actually think there's going to be a caution and how hard you can actually push. Because, I think like I said before, Nathaniel doesn't really have too much to lose. He's basically locked into the next round. But how much is he going to actually want to push? Oh, as we got wrecking down to the bottom, I don't think they're going to throw the caution. But they're sideways. We're going to get a caution.
We get a Quisenberry hard in the back of Casey Brown. Back down the racetrack.
Oh, he's going to...
Still wrecking. Big playoff implications late in the running at Kansas. Let's go back and take a look at what happened here. It was Josh Abney in the 7, sideways up in the wall. Randy Arms got sideways, able to save it down the front straightaway, kind of kept it in the grass. Then Josh, trying to save it, came up the racetrack. He keeps it off everybody, but in order for that to happen, Casey had to go up the track. He turns Mikey Adams, and then with nowhere to go, Landon just right in the back of Casey Brown.
We've seen these two go at it for this entire race, and I unfortunately think that's going to be a race over, well, especially a race over for Quisenberry. His front end is gone. I will say, though, big thing here is will Casey Brown end up finishing the race? I think at this point it's going to see whether or not who can actually finish the race or even stay just a lap ahead.
I know he
Whether
doesn't have a
Quisenberry
meatball.
can-
I know he doesn't have a meatball, but if he just if he gets lucky, Mazzella going for a win, possibly make contact and something happen. But look at these two, 76-40 should come down pit road. And like we mentioned all race, Mazzella also down pit road. He's pitting. Randy as well. Do both of them have tires?
I do believe, and Randy mentioned it before, he was also going to play the tire strategy call and has an extra set. So this should also work out for him too, because I know you mentioned before he wanted to save the extra set and that he was going to, I believe he did. So he should have an extra set here. Wouldn't be surprised if he's just coming down for fuel or damage, or it could be a little bit of damage actually. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see whether the right side goes up. No, it does
No.
not. So it looks to just be a fuel or a damage caution for him,
chance?
as we see both Matt Frady and Kyle Ritchie in the background taking 4 tires. This could work out beautifully for them if they can, if they can make these tires work the last. We're going to probably go green with about 13 to go.
Well, with that being said, 13 laps to go when we get back going green. The front guys have stayed out. Not much else that they could do about it. Let's get a word in with Kyle as he makes that strategy call to come back down pit road, and as their strategy is played out to perfection.
Uh-oh.
Kyle, my man, you got a copy?
No.
Well, second time seeing you up here. You mentioned before that you wanted to save the extra set of
Alright.
tires. We've seen that it's worked out pretty well for you right now. What's going through your head right now as we got a caution with about 15 to go?
How can I put this into words? I'm gonna Joey Logano this race. Hopefully.
You're gonna Joey Logano this race? What does that even mean?
He's gonna wreck half the
back
field
into-
and take the win.
Either wreck half the field or back into a win. There's no telling which one yet, but so just be warned for either one happening. Okay.
Well, like I said, the tire strategy seems to be working out pretty well for you guys. And another good thing is you guys don't have a lot of cars in front of you. You only got about 5-6 cars, you and Freddie.
Yeah. When the yellow came out, I saw Casey Brown and Josh, I think, were like 10 seconds in front of me. So I figured as some of the leaders wrecked, so we gained a few spots.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the end of the day, you guys are up a couple of spots. A lot of playoff stuff going on behind you. Thankfully, I don't think you should have to worry about the points as long as you don't wreck out here. But
Can't wreck and need to beat Casey Brown.
well, there you
That's it.
go.
And
That's
I
pretty
think there
much.
was a 3-way tie for 8th or
Well,
7th. I
yep.
don't remember.
Well,
There's
you're
a
coming.
three-way
Yeah,
tie
there's
for
a
second.
three-way,
As long as I'm
but a
in
lot
front
of
of
those guys have
that.
had problems. So
well,
yeah,
there
you're
we
coming
go.
green. So good luck, Kyle. Finish her off. But
Thanks. I'll try to.
Kyle Ritchie on the new tires. Quick word in with them. But can Nathaniel and Swartz have a good enough restart and get far enough away to hold off both of them? Nathaniel fires. Sam with a good restart. He's going to get to the inside of Jonathan Swartz. He's going to have a nose on him entering the corner. So does Kyle Ritchie. He's going to look to the inside early here. Matt Frady to the far outside on the top.
Yeah, these guys aren't gonna waste any time here. They're gonna have to use these tires as quick as possible. Where the laps are taken down real quick, and they don't want to
Matt
let
got held up.
Nathaniel run away with this. As Kyle's gonna start making his way through the field down to the bottom of Michael Davis. He's gonna try to get a run on Sam Demian on the exit of 4 here.
With Mazzella just behind him, they both took tires, looking to make quick moves happen. And Matt Frady's looking to just find a hole. I think raw speed out of these 3 cars. Matt Frady probably has that speed, but right now just never able to do it. As Swartz is in the outside wall, that's a free spot for Mazzella and Kyle.
Yeah,
Here
we
it
see these
comes.
tires coming into play. It seems to be working pretty well. He's able to carry so much momentum on the bottom. He's gonna have such a great run off of 4 here. The lead's gonna go to Kyle Ritchie here.
He's to the inside at the stripe. He's going to lead it at the line that time. Into 1. Nathaniel on the outside. Points leader, but a guy that is looking to make something happen. Running second. Doesn't need to win, but would be a big confidence booster heading into the second round. looking for his second win on the season, won at Atlanta in a wild 3-wide finish. But Kyle Ritchie, fastest lap of the race, gonna run the bottom. Here comes Mazzella to the inside now with a little bit of a run. I thought it was gonna be a bigger run for him running the outside line. Now to the bottom, both of them kind of to the bottom. Mazzella to the middle. Now, if you're in Mazzella's spot, Alex, what do you think here? What is your play? How do you set up this pass?
I mean, if I'm Mazzella right now, it looks like if you can get a good run off the top and you carry as much momentum, even in the middle, you can get such a good run off of 4 to make it work. Is he's going to do exactly that? Keep up the momentum. He's going to have him at the stripe, I think, here. Is he going to cross the line? No, Richie's going to have it by 11 thousandths, but going into 1 here, he's going to have him on the bottom. Going to try to set up a move to maybe slide up on the exit of 2 here, and he's not going to get it quite enough as Kyle Richie's just barely going to keep with him.
One of the best at running the outside line is on the outside line. Little bit of blinking though, but how big of a run does he get? Doesn't look like any. Mazzella takes the lead. Can he hold off Kyle though?
And we mentioned it earlier, Mazzella was going to need a near perfect day, pretty much tied with 2 other guys, and needing a great points day to try to hopefully beat out Tilder, who's not present today. Could have just etched his way into the top 6 here.
He might not just be 6th. He might be 5th or 4th possibly if he wins this deal. But takes the lead. Kyle 2nd. Matt 3rd. Nathaniel 4th. Swartz is, well, 5th. Just not updating because Kyle's blinking. But Jared also a lap down in 13th. So a lot has happened here. Randy is in 11th, so Randy not having a good last stint of this race either. He's battling with Mikey Adams, which is Mikey going to have a pass. He's going to look to the inside of him. Nice little battle here to see Mikey in a battle here. But as we go back through the field, a lot has happened in the last stint of this race. Jonathan Mazzella on the same strategy that we talked about all race from Matt and Kyle. And at the moment, he is looking to finish it off and come away with a win to put an exclamation point on the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, you're like we said before, this top 3 on that interesting strategy, who we weren't sure if it was going to work or not. But at the end of the day, it looks like it's going to pay off really well for these 3 drivers.
He's running kind of the middle lane. Kyle just hasn't been able to do anything as he's just gone. Kyle just looks like he's going to drive for Casper the Ghost here. Just behind him, Matt Frady. Matt really not catching as much as what I thought he would. I thought Matt, raw speed-wise, would have the speed over those 2, but it looks like getting around those 2 cars and a few cars early in that run just hasn't helped him at all. Nathaniel in 3rd. Swartz. Davis, your top 5 or 6. Davis with a good run, though.
Yeah, not a bad day from him. Qualified 11th, up 5 spots from where he started. Not having himself a pretty bad day.
Well, Sam Demian, actually, playoff driver, didn't have the luck most of this playoffs. Wasn't able to, be really that close to making it and on the bubble. But to end it off, good little run for him. Running 6th or 7th. Having a good little day for him. Up 10 spots, the biggest mover of the race as well. So with that being said, Sam actually a lot of speed after a lot of problems being spun and everything that's happened to him tonight. He's trying to finish it off as a playoff driver to have a pretty good race.
Yeah, unfortunately not going to make it into the top 6 just based off of math and points, but looking to hopefully make his way into the top 6, maybe top 5 if you can push these last couple of laps here. We got 3 to go until the end of the race here. I think your top 3 is going to be pretty much locked in unless we somehow get a caution within the next 2 laps.
Which right now, there's really nobody racing anywhere on the racetrack right now other than a few spots further back. But Mikey doing a good job. I'm going to stay on Mikey for this lap. Mikey's fighting to the inside of one of the top guys in the league. So Mikey possibly has new tires compared to Randy or what it may be. But Mikey's still doing a good job of it. He's got a nose on him. Proud of Mikey. Shout out, Mikey. Just feed him the door, Mikey. Come on. Get there. Up the track. Clear. Mikey inside the top 10, 11. Nope. Kyle keeps blinking, so it keeps messing it up. Anyways, back to the front. Jonathan Mazzella in that 41 machine. Going to come off of turn 4 to take the white flag. He's made an amazing race. Didn't have the early run speed early in the race. Used that stage as an advantage. Knew what he wanted to do in the second stage. Didn't pit when that first caution came out. Then decided, you know what? Let's battle some of the best with Kyle Ritchie, Matt Frady, and Nathaniel Landwehr at the end of it. And to put himself into the second round, he's going to come off of turn number 4 and win the finale of round 1 of the playoffs. Jonathan Mazzella wins at Kansas. Kyle Ritchie finishes second. Matt Frady third. Nathaniel Landwehr in 4th. Jonathan Swartz in 5th. Michael Davis in 6th. Sam Demian 7th. Cade 8th. Michael in 9th. And rounding off the top 10 is Josh Abney. The same way we've seen him most of the race. Sideways. What a race. And what a performance from Mazzella to put her in victory lane.
Yeah, from like you said, not having the early speed in the race, and to getting involved with an incident with Casey Brown to taking the win. I mean, I think it's a great way for him to put an exclamation point on the end of this round. And I believe, like you said, I think he will be a lock for round 2 here, as we'll see when the points come out at some point tonight. And the teammates will line up 2nd and 3rd on the front stretch. Great night for them as well. The 3 geniuses, we can call them that.
Yeah.
The guys who decided to to take a different play on
The
strategy
future
tonight. We
seers.
saw it worked out perfect for him.
Might have to start calling him Dr. Strange. Had the playoffs, or had this race lined up to perfection. Let's get a word in with him now.
Jonathan Mazzella, your race winner. How'd you pull it off, my man? We saw you get involved in some unfortunate contact earlier midway through the race, and to bring it back for a win, how does it feel, my man?
Oh, 0 to hero. That was crazy. Yeah, I got 2 minutes of damage on that. It was, I don't know whose fault it was, but I've been racing Casey forever, so I know he didn't mean to do anything. But I think the repairing it actually helped the car because it was just a rocket when I finally got some tires on it.
Yeah, we saw you, the top 3, you, Kyle, and Matt, pull off the differing strategy from everybody in the field, and it worked out. You, at the end of the day, pulled off a 8-second gap to the guy on the who we thought was going to take a commanding lead of this race, and you just pulled away. And you know, tell me your thoughts on the strategy. We know it was a big thing for tonight, and what was your thought process going through the rest of the race, especially after the contact?
Yeah, at the beginning of the race, I was just trying to chill and take my time. But after the contact, I was just trying to get all I could. And then I had to pit 2 or 3 times to get damage repaired and not take tires. So it saved me a set at the end. And then she was a rocket when I finally got some tires on it. So it was great.
Yeah, well, we saw you, like I said, we saw you pull out a pretty decent lead over the second place finisher and throughout the rest of the field. And like you said before, I mean, look, 0 to hero. At the end of the day, you pull off a win. We do believe that's going to lock you into the second round here. Not sure what the exact order is going to be yet, but we do believe you might be right in 6th or 5th. Not too sure yet. We'll find out in the later hours of the night here. But
with that being said, and a win to send yourself off into the second round, where does that put your confidence level heading into the next round where it evens out the playing field? Final 3 races. How are you feeling heading into it?
Well, after wrecking out at Talladega and having trouble at Texas and then trouble here tonight, now I'm just relieved, man. It's great. I love Kansas. I won yesterday, last night, and tonight, so I'll up my week.
Well, you were able to get her done. Congratulations. Give us who you'd like to thank or give all your shout-outs.
I just want to thank my team and of course the league and you broadcasters. The team was talking about some car control strategy and helped me out there. So definitely want to give a shout out to Nate and Jared.
Well, congratulations, man. You
I-
definitely put an exclamation point on tonight and was able to get her done. So congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all having me.
Jonathan Mozella steals it at Kansas. Let's get a word in with Kyle Ritchie now. Kyle Ritchie.
Kyle, our second place finisher.
Hello.
I call one of the three geniuses here. Cabe and I mentioned it before. You top three were the guys who decided to pull a quick one on strategy, and it worked out for you guys in the end. So just thoughts on the race.
We were a 6th place car and we finished 2nd.
Well, there you go. I guess that's all I really
summed up my race. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a lot of strategy calls from you guys. At the end of the day, it worked out beautifully, pulling off a almost 7-second lead. Well, not lead, 7-second gap to the guys with the differing strategy from you guys. And I know you will pretty much be locked into the next round here. You were on the cutoff line, but you had a lot of trouble behind you, and also Tiller not showing up tonight. So should be good for you. How's your confidence feeling going in the next round?
Well, I don't know what tracks we get to the next 3 weeks, so I don't really know, honestly.
I was gonna say, I'll be honest with you, I honestly have no idea either. But we'll let's see here. Let's see if we can find out. We go to
Rockingham,
Charlotte, and
okay,
Nashville.
yeah, no, 2 of those 3 tracks I like. One of them I can't stand, so we're all right on confidence, I guess.
All right. Well, like you said before, I think now we're gonna have a pretty level playing field going in the next round. Obviously, yeah, I'm just gonna say I know Rockingham and Nashville are the two that you maybe enjoy a little bit more, if I remember correctly. But I don't know. I'm not sure if it's Charlotte or not. But other than that, once again, congratulations on the second place finish for you there, and we'll see you next week at Rockingham.
Yeah, thank you guys for broadcasting every week.
All right, second place finisher Kyle Ritchie. Let's go bring in third place finisher from the two teammates, Matt Frady. No, not broadcast radio. There he is. Matt, you got a copy, my man.
Yep.
Welcome to the booth. P3 finish for you tonight. How we feeling?
Oh, tired. On at the wheel was it felt like a long race.
Yeah, we saw a lot of loose cars today, a lot of sideways action, a lot of almost backwards action from a couple of guys here. We saw a lot of, like you said, sawing at the wheel, a lot of heat in those tires you guys are getting. So we saw strategy work out well for you and Kyle. Brandy mentioned it before when he was in the booth with us, that you guys were gonna end up looking like a bunch of geniuses if you were able to pull it off with getting a couple of cautions, and worked out pretty well for you guys. But other than the great strategy from you guys, just overall thoughts on the race.
Yeah, it was a good race. Like you said, it was just really loose. So it was just fighting the car everywhere. Trying to avoid some of the bumps that were in there, like on the top side of one, there's a bump that if you hit it wrong, it was putting you in the wall. And then it was just trying to play the tire game and everything. And luckily the cautions fell in our favor for sure. And then glad Kyle was able to get through to the front, quicker than what I was. I unfortunately got stuck behind some guys that were obviously on older tires, but it took me a little bit longer to get through. And just glad it was a third at least, and glad it worked out to help Kyle with him and his points and everything else. So
yeah, unfortunately not fighting for the playoffs this time around, but mentioned it to Kyle before. We only got a couple of races left, going to Rockingham next week, then Charlotte, and then Nashville for our finale. Obviously, like I said, not fighting for anything in the playoffs, but how are we feeling going into the next couple of races?
Rockingham's like a toss-up. I think Charlotte will be all right, and then Nashville, I don't know. Ask me again after tomorrow. So, yeah, I think it's been a long time since I've raced in Nashville, but yeah, I mean, sure we can, muster up something to hopefully be towards the front.
Well, we'll wish you luck coming for the next few races here. Hopefully, maybe pull out a nice little win. We saw you steal one a couple of weeks ago, and see whether or not you can pull it off again. And yeah, congrats on the P3 again. And before we let you go ahead and get any shout outs in you got, my man.
Randy for putting the league up. You guys for broadcasting. Kyle, uh, family, everybody that does this, and all the racers, and I don't know. I think that's it.
Well, once again, congratulations on the P3 finish, and we'll see you next week at Rockingham, my man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Good job, Matt. The old man comes home in third, but that's going to do it for Kansas. So, Alex, how did you see tonight after everything that went down? Not too bad, and put on a good show. A lot of good racing, a lot of strategy, which I did not expect, and a lot of tire wear, which was awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, not super unexpected, but also some unexpected stuff. Like you said, strategy. I wasn't expecting strategy to be such a big call this time around. I mean, we saw it last week at Texas that I do believe strategy mattered a little bit, which is surprising for Texas too. So two surprising back-to-back races of strategy and tire calls, and at the end of the day, the differing strategy worked for a lot of these guys to finish top three. And yeah, I mean, other than that, Kansas put on a good show tonight. I'm not super surprised, like you mentioned before the broadcast, before we got going. This is one of the best tracks on the schedule for both Xfinity and Cup. So, yeah, not super surprising to see Kansas put on a good show, and sad to see it go, to be honest. At least not coming here next week, but yeah.
Yeah, not too bad of a week, but heading into the final round of the playoffs. Tune in next week to kind of see where we're at points wise. Still don't have it officially yet, but we got the final round of the playoffs coming up. It follows the official schedule, so we're going to go to Rockingham, Charlotte, and Nashville to finish it off in the playoffs. Right now, our best guess is it's going to be Jonathan Mazzella, Kyle Ritchie, Jared Lindsay, Randy Arms, Jonathan Swartz, and Nathaniel Landwehr heading into the final round. So, Alex, thank you for joining me once again tonight. We'll see you guys next week at Rockingham.